all know this is the Django and Python Essentials program, and I know you all are being too curious about the Django and how the backend framework works, all about it, and other things about Python and Django. So this is a 2-day course, so Essentials program, and this is built for all of you who are wanting to learn more about Django.
Actually, we are not able to hear you properly because there is a lot of sound coming background you, so we can't
Ma'am, kindly
hear you
mute
properly.
everyone.
Hello.
Madam, kindly mute everyone, madam.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Mute everyone, ma'am.
And you are on mute. Please unmute.
Hello everyone. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes,
ma'am. Audible.
your video is not visible.
Hello, Umang.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am, sure.
Hello, Umang.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, sure.
Just
Umang, just unmute yourself. I will unmute you.
hello.
Okay.
Am I
Guys,
audible now?
please be unmute everyone. Umang, you can speak. You can start.
Okay. So hi everyone. I hope you all are doing great. So as you all know, you have registered for this course, and many of you people will be seeing this lecture from YouTube as well. So hi, I welcome all of you to Let's Upgrade Django and Python Essentials program. And today we have with Sir Mr. Gopal Singh. He is an amazing trainer, and he will be teaching you about Django and Python and giving you an immense amount of knowledge about these topics. I know you all are very beginner people, and you don't have much knowledge, and even if you do, this session will be a great help to all of you. So moving forward, so this session, you all can this is a session for 2 days, and after this session, uh, and one important announcement I would like to make. As you all know, this recordings will not be available for you. These will be available only after the essentials, the eligibility list of this batch is over. So for all the people who want to attend the session on YouTube or at Zoom, so be available on 6:30 p.m. for the 2 day session. So yeah, and for I would like now to tell you about the criteria for the attendance as well as examination. So this is a 2 day essentials program. In this, there will be a 2 day attendance. You have to fill the attendance for having eligibility for an exam. Then we'll conduct an essentials program. In this, and then after the exam will be conducted, and then you will receive your certificate. So I would like everybody to be really attentive and grasp all the information and knowledge you can get. So I would like sir to introduce himself as well. So hi sir.
Hi. Can you hear me? Firstly.
Sir, you're audible.
Okay. And everyone can see me as well, right?
Yes sir.
Okay. Thank you. So hello everyone. How are you doing all? Like, how are you doing in this pandemic? I hope your family and you are keeping safe, like staying away from unnecessary going out and staying safe mostly and keeping yourself healthy, right? So, uh, how many of you actually have coded in Python before? Can I know? Can I actually get a response in the chat? Okay, all right. Firstly, I would love to know about like what is your background in the Python? Okay, okay, we have a lot of people here. And how many of you have had knowledge about classes? Okay, we have full stack developer as well. All right. Okay, we are good to go then. And how many of you have coded in, like not coded, like how many of you have actually completed some sort of HTML or CSS? I have. Okay, okay, okay. Sounds good, sounds good. Voice is breaking. Can someone please confirm if my voice is breaking or not?
No, sir, it's completely audible.
Okay, okay. All right, clear. Okay. So let's get started. Okay. And please pay attention. Django essentials, right? So, firstly, how many of you actually have heard about the Django? Like the first, like any web framework. How many of you know about what is the framework in the first place? Like any framework, like be it for like there is a CMS also like WordPress. You people must have actually heard about the WordPress, right? How exactly it is quite easy to actually set up, and you can literally push your content quite easily with that content management system. But other than that, like how exactly the framework works, how we actually structure our project in terms of database, in terms of request, and in terms of response, right? So how exactly a website works, firstly we have to actually understand it. So whenever you actually go to a website, let's say for Google, and I search for Django, right? The moment I search for it, okay, so the thing or like the query that I searched here, what it was a request, right? I made a request to my web browser that why don't you just give me some sort of response when I type in Django, right? So Django, the query was the request, and in return that I actually got was the response, right? So your website more or less actually works like that. You throw a request to it and it actually gives you a response. Like whenever you actually type something in YouTube, on YouTube, in the search bar, like for any song, and then you will going to get a lot of search related queries to it. Like if you search for like any song, I don't know, like Coldplay song, any song, right? It will just going to give you a query set for the search that you actually just made, right? So that's how your request and response works, right? So why do we in the first place, what is Django? Okay, and then we will going to understand why do we even need a framework in the first place. Why we just can't actually create our own something like from everything from scratch and deal with it, like for making your any website live, right? So what is Django in the first place? Fun fact is like Django was named after the guitarist Django Reinhardt. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name or right, so sorry. So Django is an open source web framework, right, written in Python programming and widely known for its super fast development speed. Why? Because it's like I don't know if any one of you have actually developed a website in Node.js or in Django, so you can actually have some sort of differences or similarities between them. But when it comes to Django, you can rely on completely when it comes to meeting the deadlines. You can literally do it. Like the process and the security is totally phenomenal, and the development speed, what I actually mean by the development speed, I will get back to it in much more detail as we progress through this session. But yeah, believe me, it is super fast when it comes to development. And other than that, it is also known as single source of truth. What exactly it means, like for the, you can just put your front end or your back end in just a single project, right? So that is how actually it is known as single source of truth, right? So you know now what is Django. So why do we need it in the first place? Like, okay, so let's say How many of you actually have heard about the database design? Or like you people, if you are people from the engineering background, you must have actually come across a chapter like or a book, DBMS, right? Database management system, right? So you must have actually written some sort of SQL queries there. So your data, that is actually basically website is nothing but in terms of request and in terms of response, rendering out the data. That's it, right? When you actually search for a video, you are giving back that search in terms of response in the form of data, right? So why to use a framework in the first place? So when you are not that much, when you have don't that much of an architecture that can be managed or scaled massively, you may be able to write some sort of SQL queries. Let's say you have actually managed to write a SQL queries for your database. That to a raw SQL queries, that is literally a pain, right? Sometimes even after you have done it, so you do realize that SQL injections are also can be done, right, to actually penetrate through your database. Okay, let's say you also have resolved the database security in that case, since that was a pain. So what about the cross-site scripting? What exactly it means? Like cross-site, like your backend is running somewhere on a different code, and you are just using it as an API. Like you are just fetching the data from the backend and rendering it out on the front end, right? That's how the cross site scripting works. Like we call it CORS, right? So how exactly you are going to deal with it? Like you may have an idea, and you maybe are a phenomenal programmer, but you will end up wasting your lot of time, right? So let's say even after you have done it, so what next? What is next? Since the moment in the beginning I just told you that like visiting a website is nothing but getting a request and returning a response, right? So now you need to write a library that actually handles the HTTP request as well, right? So you can see like this is literally pain. Like you really don't want to do it. Like when it comes to creating a model, creating a website, so you really want to save your time unless you are planning to develop a website in next 2 years, right? So that is why we use a framework. Okay, it actually escalates, or it actually speed up your development process. So yeah, instead of actually writing, you will definitely going to start questioning yourself, okay, or questioning your life on the worst. So don't do it, please. So companies that are using Django, Reddit, Instagram, Quora, Mozilla, or many startups, like many startups, they are using it. Like it is really the best choice for developing your first MVP. You can literally make a first minimum viable product in a limit, like in a feasible time. If you have an idea, you just have to. Given that you know Django, of course, given that you know Django, if you know Django, then it will be a piece of cake, like developing your first MVP. Okay, so these are the companies I have not, maybe I may not have been listed out every. Yeah, you are getting the point. Like Reddit, like these are the billion-dollar companies that who are using Django. So Django is not going anywhere in next 2 or 3, like maybe in next 20 years or 30 years at least. Okay. So all right. So let's start. Keep calm and use Django. All right. So let's start it. So can anyone tell me how many of you know about the database design? Like how many of you have heard about the one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, many-to-many relationship? Basically, many-to-one is the reverse of one-to-many, right? So that is where we will going to define our database, right? I just want to know about like what is your background, guys? Like, have you actually heard about it, like database design? Yes, okay, 4 participants. All right. So there are many people. All right, all right. There are many people. Okay. So let's do it first. Okay. So this is kind of a first hello world for web development, for be it for any project. It just gives you the clarification about each feature's behavior that actually occurs on any website. Like you just read the data, you just update the data, you sometimes even delete the data, okay, or sometimes you even create the data. So these 4 steps widely known as CRUD, right? Create, read, update, and delete. And these are also the HTTP protocols, right? So let's actually understand it with the Jamboard. Like this is my favorite, visualization tool for myself. So let's understand it. Right. So let's say I am a user here. Like I will be making a blog application while explaining each and every bit of a detail what exactly is going on in the Django application or in project or everything. Like project and application essentially are both different things. So sorry, like I will be telling you for sure. But for the database design, because since it is the first thing, so if we will going to encounter it again, so I am just going to some sort of intuition about it beforehand, before actually we delve into it. So say we have a user, like let's say you can actually call yourself a user. Okay. So you are a user here, all right, and this is the post. Say this is the post. Okay. So a user can create like you may want to create 2 posts, you may want to create 5 posts, and you may even not want to create any post at all, right? That is totally up to you. So for user, it can create many posts, right? So what sort of relation it is? We can call it 1 to m, which means 1 to many. I am just telling
Hello.
and this is
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, your voice is breaking in between.
Is it better now?
Yes, sir. Now it's better.
Okay, okay. Please let me know if it again cracks down. Okay.
Sure, sir.
So this is 1 to many, right? So yeah. So that is I actually just wanted to give you an intuition about how exactly the database works. Okay. So let's start our Django project firstly. Okay. Let's start it. So first thing that we will going to create is this Django project. Just don't focus upon these. Okay. On either of these. Okay, I will get back to it for sure. But now first focus on this only. Okay. So I also going to highly recommend you guys that use Linux kernel. Okay. And that is actually the development like kernel, like what we use in our day-to-day development process. Okay. So make any directory, right? Let's say Django dev, sorry, Django project, and go into it. Okay. And now just create a directory as well. Memkdir my site, right? And go into the my site, right? So what I did here, I just created a directory Django projects. Then I changed my path to Django projects, and then again I created my site directory there, and then again I changed my path to my site. So my path, and ultimately my path is Django projects my site, right? And now what I am doing, I am just going to create an isolated environment, all right? And please keep your isolated environment always. Like whenever you create a project, just keep an isolated environment, all right? So how can you create it? Python 3 -m venv. So please let me know how many of you have actually saw this command. Like this is just the name of the env. You can literally give any name, and venv is a module in the Python 3, and hyphen I'm basically calling the module. So I am telling v and v to create a directory which consists of every lib and everything like that. We will going to see it. Sure. Okay. So now I have created my env. All right. So how can you activate it? Source env bin activate. That's it. So what are the actually benefits of creating an environment like an isolated environment? Or what exactly is an environment in the first place? Say you have been working on a project which is only related to say social website. It has like likes, dislikes, and follow and unfollow features. And now you started to work upon the second project which has more to do with the, let's say, video streaming. Like we can talk with people on video basis, like we can chat with them and talk and also make video calls like one to one. Okay, so there is the possibility that the libraries that we will going to use in our project 1 will not going to be matched with the project 2, right? Okay. And when you actually deploy it, when you actually make it live, so it could actually create some sort of unnecessary trouble, like for deploying it and making the requirements or txt file. We will going to see it in the next session, like tomorrow's session, when we will be making it production ready and we will deploying it on the Heroku, right? So yeah, so always try to keep your isolated environment in place in every project. Like you have seen, like I have created my isolated environment. The project name is my site, right? So let's start project. Let's start our project. So firstly, I'm going to install two packages here, Django and Auto Pep 8. Okay. Meanwhile, it gets installed. How many of you actually know about the Pep? Please raise your hands. Like, how many of you know about the Pep? What is Pep? All right. So yeah, okay, everyone. Great, great, great. So everyone knows it, right? So Pep is basically the way we actually structure our Python code, right? So AutoPep 8, what it does, like whenever it sees unnecessary, like you cannot make unnecessary indentation, that just remember it, because there will be an indentation error. But other than that, whenever you will make, like whenever the code structure will not be, in the terms of Pep 8, it will just going to make it somewhat Pep 8 style, right? So that's how the Pep 8 works. So now we have installed it. So let's start our project. Django admin. Django admin actually is again a command to start a project, and this is the project. And don't get confused the project with the application. I will get back to it. What is the project and what is the application? There are a lot of differences between them, like a lot. So don't get confused with the project and with the application. Both are entirely different. So Django admin start project is a command, and we can write my site and dot. What is dot here? Let me tell you. Okay. So if you don't put the dot here, let me actually get back here. CD Django projects, and if you don't put the dot, like you have here, like right, when you don't put the dot, it will just going to create a my site.
Excuse
Like
me,
if
sir.
yes.
Yes, sir. Can you tell us like where to code this, on which environment we have to code this?
Excuse me, what did you say? I couldn't get you.
Uh, on which environment, I mean IDE, to code this program?
I will be coding it on VS Code.
Okay. And can we use PyCharm?
Yeah, you can use PyCharm. Everyone has their own preferences. I am going to going back to it for sure. I will be coming to it, like how exactly you can use an ID. What you could have different preferences. I have, like, personally I love VS Code because it has an incredible amount of extensions. So I use VS Code, but of course you can use PyCharm as well. No issues whatsoever, right?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay, So when you actually going to create, when you actually going to run Django admin start project my site without the dot is basically telling that just explode or just create every directory in the current directory basically. Okay, so the moment I actually see it, that's what my like. So what I actually got here, like we had the env already, we created python 3 -m venv env, right? This was our source, sorry, this was our virtual environment. But other than that, we have now two files, no, one file and other is directory, right? So let's actually start it with your own code preferences, like your own IDE preferences. I use VS Code, okay, and you could use PyCharm, you could use Atom as well, you could even use Sublime. Sublime is also a great alternative to that, but I highly recommend you guys that use VS Code. Okay, now we are with the VS Code now. All right. Okay. So let's actually try to understand the structure of it. Init, how many of you can actually tell me what exactly the init, how exactly an init works in any folder? I wouldn't call it a, like, I would, if I actually, I would love to actually know about it. What do you understand by init.py is? Everyone knows about it, right? What it is? Just raise your hands. That's it. Okay. Yeah, okay. So basically it tells that this is a Python package. That's it, right? And ASGI is your asynchronous gateway interface, right? So asynchronous is a huge topic in itself, but I can tell, like, you must have actually heard about the Ajax, right? If you have not, so just be with me. Like Ajax, asynchronous is like you don't really have to wait for the data, okay, to actually again fetch it and again send it. Like otherwise, it makes a website so much laggy, and you have to wait. Like let's say you have a computation that is actually going on for like 15 seconds. So the user retention, when your website will going to live, the user retention will going to reduce for sure. So that's where we actually use ASGI. Now this is the actually the huge chunk, right? So this is the chunk that I am going to explain you to the guys, right? Let's understand this. Okay. So these are the libraries. Sorry, this is the library that actually comes along with the Django's default setting. This is the Django's default setting. Okay. So let's try to understand it one by one. Before we actually go into the first thing, like let's understand this list initially. Okay, so what it is, like these are nothing but the apps. If you remember that I have told you guys already, like Django project and Django application both are totally different. Okay, so we have here like 6 apps, 6 applications already inbuilt. We will going to look into these applications when we will reach the admin interface. Just be with me, guys. Okay, but these are the applications that actually comes along with the Django whenever you start a project. Okay, so this is actually the admin interface where you can access the admin and also can run your CRUD operations like creating, reading, updating, and deleting. Authorization basically for the session management, right? For the content types, sessions, and messages that you actually get whenever you actually encounters with any sort of messages, like an error message. Whenever you actually gets to encounter with an error, there will be a pop-up for like you have entered a wrong username or you have entered the wrong password, right? Static files that you actually see, like the thing that you update, like for instance, for like your profile picture, anything. Okay, this is the static, right? And now your middleware, right? So what is the middleware? Your middleware is responsible for the request and response life cycle. You make a request and you get in terms of every request you get a response, right? That's how actually a middleware works. Okay, you can write your own middleware as well for sure. Next come the root URL conf. Okay, so it is just telling the project's URL conf, like where exactly it is structured. Like I can tell my URLs are here. where my request will go for the my projects URL. Okay. Then comes the template. We will going to see the template in much more detail. All right. This is WSGI, like web server gateway interface that we actually where our server runs. We will going to run it. Database. Django actually comes along with the default database SQLite 3. Okay, this is actually an inbuilt database, but you should never use this database when your website goes live. Like in productions, never use it, otherwise you will be having nightmares, right? Then the language code, your website is going to show in like maybe it could show your website in the language of English right now. You can convert it into the Spanish as well. And now the time zone. So time zone is responsible for, it is right now UTC. Where are right now? Asia, Kolkata. Okay. So we have actually settled our time zone for Asia. And these are the activities that we are going to cover in session, like in the next tomorrow session. Right. So this was our settings.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Your voice is breaking again.
Okay. Please just give me like 1 minute. Oh, why is it happening? I think that is quite fine. Okay, let me actually change the bandwidth.
Now it's fine, sir.
Okay, maybe there are some sort of glitches, I believe. Okay, so please please excuse me for that. Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Uh, Sir, like everyone is asking, is this
Yeah.
useful for beginner, like very beginner, who is going to start it from scratch?
Who is starting from scratch? What?
Django.
Django. Yes, it is actually beginner. Like this is not, I haven't even started yet. Like we have not even started our server.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so if someone has the query, please let me know how exactly they are having the problem with the entire structure. But we are just getting started right now, right?
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
okay.
Okay.
So let's just run it. Like let's just run it and let's run our server. Okay. So Django actually comes along with the manage.py file. What it is, it has some bunch of already pre-built commands, like how exactly you can make migrations. Migrations basically creating the columns, how you can sync those columns, so sync that data with your existing database, right? How you can run your server and everything. Okay, for local server, right? So let's run our local server with the manage.py run server. Okay, just for first, just neglect this, just ignore this warning message. This is just a warning message, and it is asking, like it is saying, or we can read it like starting development server at what this. Okay, let's start it. So now we have successfully launched our development server, right? So what comes next, right? So why are we seeing this? Why are we seeing these warnings? Like you may, let's actually read it out. Like unapplied migrations. What it is? What exactly it is? So let's actually try to remove this first. This warning. So to actually remove this warning, first we actually have to understand what exactly the migrations are in the first place. So your migrations is nothing but the moment you actually create columns in your database, like for the SQL, let's say you have created a column for an employee and for a department. Okay, so unless or until you don't actually make migrations to it, the columns will not going to create it there. Okay, to create columns, we have a command for that, which is Python manage.py make migrations. Okay. Okay. Since we don't have any new installed apps here, applications, right? We don't have it here. We will going to add it sooner. Okay. But still we don't have here. And to sync the database, what we can do here, we just have to run migrate, right? So the moment we will run the migrate, we will get this. So what it is doing right now, let's actually try to understand this and actually have a visual interpretation for this. So for that, I have a software. I think it is also available in Android, Windows as well. So or also in the Mac, because I am working on the Ubuntu right now. So it is quite natural that it will going to work in Mac as well. But for Windows, it is available. Okay. So let's actually try to make some sort of visual interpretation of it. Okay. So open the database. Where are you right now? On desktop. Let's upgrade. Desktop, Django projects. DBC right? So you can see, like we just created tables for the preceding lines. You can see the lines that we saw. Okay, it has actually it has a weird behavior of actually vanishing out all the lines that we actually just run when we just actually run the command. But again, we can actually run it again by deleting this, but no sense, right? Because you have seen it already. Okay. So these are the columns that we can see right now that actually the migrate command actually created, right? We will going to add one more table here with our own application. Okay. Right. So that is how your project actually works. That is how your settings work. Like, and the migrate and make migration work. We will be using make migrations again and again, and we will be using the migrate command again and again. Basically, make migrations, what it checks that if it has got any new columns of for the data table or not. Like, let's say you have actually created a table for post. I will going to get back to it. Let's say you have created a table for post and you have mentioned two fields there, right? First is the title and second is the description. Okay, and you have run the make migrations command. So now what Django will going to do, it will just going to detect or it will just going to check if I have some new data or not. So the moment we actually going to define the new data in our models, we will going to see the model for sure. It will going to tell, okay, we have actually created new tables for it. Why don't you just sync it out now? So for syncing the data, we can run Python manage.py migrate. So that's how we actually sync our data as well, right? So that's how make migrations and migrate work. Okay, so let's actually create our own app instead of dealing with those pre-built apps that we actually got with the install, like in the settings.py file. So for that, we have a command for Python manage.py start app. You can also create this with the Django admin start app. Okay, choice is yours. So I'm going to create it with the blob. And now is the time to actually make some sort of distinguishment between what is the project and what is the application. Okay, say you must have actually went through or must have actually visited Quora, Facebook, let's say even Instagram. Okay, Instagram is actually built upon Django framework and Quora also. So whenever you actually write something there, like let's say whenever you actually click on like create a post in Quora, basically that is a Q&A website. So when you actually go there and try to answer something, Okay, so we have a dedicated application for it. Okay, and whenever you actually try to go with, let's say, profile, okay, or account, where we are actually managing every user's account detail. So we have a dedicated application for it, that as well. Okay, so that's how the application and Django project works hand to hand. Like, to make you here, this is your project, and it could have multiple apps, right? Like, let's say we just have created my site here. Okay, right. So this my site is having a blog application, right? Okay. Now, since we just created this new application, our Django project doesn't know about it, like if we have created it or not. To actually know, like to actually let our project know that we have created a new application, we just have to type its name. What is its name? Blog. Okay, that's it. Now our Django project knows that we have an application, excuse me, that we just created. Its name is blog. Okay, got it? Okay, and I will be taking questions in like next. I will be taking question at 7:30. Okay, so hold your questions there. Then we will go again. Then we will proceed. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. So now you know how exactly the project and your application works. Okay. And now we also have let our Django project know that we have created an application named blog, and we are mentioning it here. Like, you can see that here explicitly. I'm mentioning that the name of our application I'm mentioning here, right? So this is the blog. Okay. So now let's see how exactly we can create the database here, right here. So firstly, let's understand this block structure. Okay, what exactly is happening in this block? Okay, for the migrations, as I just told you earlier, migrations is responsible for knowing your database that we have created new columns or we have updated new columns as well, right? Both actually responsible for migrations. Like, we really need to let our project know, or let our project's database know that we have made changes. And the moment you actually make changes, you have to sync those changes with the database. So that's where the python manage.py migrate comes in handy. All right, so that's where you actually run migrate, right? So let's actually just have an eye on it. Like, we will going to you will going to see it being populated with a file. Okay, so let's and again, next thing that we have here right now is admin.py. Admin.py is nothing but like your admin interface for a particular application. Like, if you would love to actually run some sort of CRUD operations from the admin interface, you can just have to mention it here. Okay, we will going to get back to it as well. I'm just actually giving you right now the introductory or brief about the each file that we just generated within the blog application. All right, and now apps, it is actually a configuration file for this application. It is the configuration file for this blog application only. Don't get confused the configuration settings.py this with this app.py. All right, models, basically where we actually generate our data, basically where we actually define our data, okay, for the database purposes. Testing to test our response or request, if you are getting the right, if we are actually getting the right response in terms of a specific request, that's where the test comes handy. And lastly is views actually gets mapped to the URL. Views is nothing but the responsible for the request. Let's say, let me actually, let's say this is the view. This is actually the request, right? And we are going to map it out with some value. We will going back to it like, but let's say this is the, we have the live, okay. So this is the request, right? So this is the request that actually gets handled by the view, like not this specifically, but these requests, okay, that we can actually handle with the view. All right, getting it? Okay. So let's actually define our model here. So how exactly we can define it? So as you people just told me, like you guys have the knowledge of the OOPS. Basically, the prerequisite for understanding Django is having some sort of familiarity with the Python programming, and then OOPS. OOPS is a must because everything that we will going to explain here will be going to in terms of object-oriented programming. So if you don't have these under your bucket, under your belt, then you might have some problems, right? Okay. So what we are doing here right now, okay. So Django has a database class, like database method, like models, where we define our models like this post model, and it is actually, this is nothing but the inheritance, okay. Basically, we are inheriting the dot model class with the models dot model, and now we can define our attributes or the post attribute that we will going to create or update, delete or read, right? So let's do it. So a post could have a title, okay, and it is coming because I have installed an extension IntelliSense, okay, from here. That is why VS Code is my favorite IDE. You can use anything, but it is coming from an extension called IntelliSense. You can use it, right? It's quite handy and quite good as well. And next thing is description, as text field, and blank is equals to true. And what exactly it means, let me actually tell you. And this self dot title, right? So this is our first model, okay. So a model, how exactly it is working is nothing but like a model, okay. It could have two things right now, as per now. In tomorrow's session, we will going to have the functionality for login and logout as well, right? And everything like for the user purposes. But right now we are just setting up the database for the model only. Then we will going to restrict it as well, okay. But right now we have the post model only, okay. So what a post could have, like it could have a title, right, and it could have a description, right? So that's what I am actually mentioning there, okay. Second, what type of data it can hold? It is the char field. Basically, it takes the string value, and also the text field. It also takes the string value, right? And there could be subtle differences between text field and char field. But when you have actually, let's say, when you actually want to give a title or somewhat related to heading, the char field, the character field seems to be the best go-to choice, right? And when you have a paragraphic, like when you actually want to define something in mode of paragraph, and when you have got a lot to write about, that's where your text fields actually can come handy, right? And what exactly the max length parameter is doing right now, okay. So it is taking maximum of 200 characters, not more than that, right? And then blank is equals to true. It means that we can remain like a post can have a title, but we can also leave it without the description, which is not a good thing. But I just wanted to actually let you know how exactly the blank is equals to true works, right? So since we just have actually made our model here, like we just have created our model here, now we need to let our project know that we just have created few fields within the within the post class. So let our project know about it. So what I'm going to do, make migrations blog, okay. So let us see it. Okay. So what it did actually, you just notice it right now. Okay. You will just going to notice it right now. So these were the migrations that actually ran. When the moment I actually ran the command python manage.py make migrations and blog. Blog is basically the application's name, right? So ID, then models, big dot auto feed. Basically, it gets generated automatically. Like every post instantiation will going to have a unique ID. Okay, and if a model if doesn't have a unique ID, let's say, is it possible like for having two same IDs in that say one database? No. Otherwise, it will just going to return null constraint, not null constraint, sorry, unique constraint error that you have seen in the SQL a lot, right? And second and third, we have already defined there, like for the title and for the description. Okay, we have already seen it. Okay, so these were actually are ready to. These are actually have been created already. Okay, and I highly going to emphasize here, like, do not or ever delete your migrations. You will going to face like unwanted sequence like consequences, then like drastic consequences. Like these were the changes that were actually got recorded by your model, right? And the moment you actually hamper it, the moment you actually break the cycle, and ironically you actually get the dependency cycle error when you actually happens to remove some sort of migrations from here. So either you can actually remember the order you actually generated the migrations from, which is not possible in the big scale projects, but just don't remove it. Okay, never do it. And now, since we just created these two columns, now we can run the sync db, not sync db. Now we can actually sync our database with the migrate. All right. So yeah, we just created we just actually created first model and synced it with the database, right? Now, but where to actually see this database exactly? So if you remember, I mentioned like in the admin.py file. Okay, okay. So let's actually take some questions now, since it's 7:30. Now I can take few questions. Okay, let's take it.
So,
Yes.
there was one question like, can we inherit without using extend keyword?
Actually, the extend works in JavaScript.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, like it is actually more of a JavaScript thing, and I am inheriting with this, right?
Yes.
Anyone?
So can you please explain the curriculum, like what you will be covering in the 2 days, the
What
topic?
exactly I will be covering in the 2 days? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, like this is your overview. Okay. So we have actually saw like the database design, the model. Now we will going to see the admin interface, then views and URLs, then the templates. Basically, you will going to have a running application that will going to render the list of the posts, and you can see the detail of each post. Okay, this is the thing that we will going to cover in the first session, right? Yeah, screen will going to get yes.
Yes,
My
sir.
site.
Go ahead.
Okay, okay. So any question? My site is the main project. Yes, my site is in the main project. Absolutely. Blog. Blog is an application. So is there anyone who is having any sort of questions till now?
Like when you're saying, can you tell us where we should do this all in and what?
Sorry.
Uh, from where we do this code all these things, code part.
Sorry, Josna, I actually can't hear you properly. Like there is a like sort of a noise from the background. Can you write it out in the chat box instead? Like
Yes.
chat box, please. Can you mute? I am getting error data type mismatch when running Python manage. From where we can do all code. What do you mean by this all code? Actually, couldn't get it. So can you tell me where we should this all process this all? I couldn't get your question, sir. Sorry, Mohammed Sharif. I couldn't get your question. Okay. All right. Yeah, I will going to give you some sort of references for sure. The moment actually we actually going to end this session. Okay. Just please bear with me. I am trying to just if you have any sort of questions like just ping like if you can just always tell me in the chat box or just let me know. So anyone is having any problem with this?
So one is asking how to set path for OS.
Yeah. What? OS.
How? Yes.
How to set OS?
How to set path for OS?
How to set path for OS? You can always use OS library for that, which is also available in Python. Okay, and now then you can use os dot join, right? Then again the path thing, whatever the path you are actually referring to. So that is quite a vague question right now. Like I just can't tell which path you really want to add up to. But yeah, you can use OS. And other than that, I also like the path lib. And from the path lib, I use path a lot. Okay, so you can use path lib as well, right? So let's actually register this, and now we will going to see this admin interface. Okay.
So one more question.
Yes. More questions.
One more like what is difference between init and string str?
Okay. 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 Sure. 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 Init and it's str, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Let me actually fire up the Python 3 command, right? So you actually you people must have been you must have actually introduced by this terminal for sure. If you have actually have some sort of basic knowledge of Python, right? Int is nothing but the integer data type, right? Okay. Int is nothing but the integer data type, and string is your string values, a sequence of characters. Okay. So int could be like your one is an int, and sequence ABC. It's an string value. Okay. Have I made myself clear yet? Please let me know.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so now we will going to register our model. Just bear with me. Like I know this could be a lot of information at first. Like I know, okay, but this is the structure that you will have to get used to, right? And the moment you will get to used to it, like it might take like 2 days, 3 days, max to max 1 week. But after that it will be a piece of cake. Like you people actually get intimidated by the structure as well. Like first the structure, that how exactly things are working. Okay, so that is why I'm trying to not pace that much fast. Like I'm trying to slow it down as much as possible. So please let me know if you are having any sort of problem with the concepts. Okay, so now what we will going to do, we will going to register our model. Okay. So what this command is, like what exactly I did. Like how many of you are familiar with the importing in Python? Please let me know. All right, 4 participants. Like I believe if you have actually completed like the even the initial of Python programming, you must have actually come across the packaging and importing, like packages and libraries. So dot models is nothing but your module, right? There it is. And in dot models, we have a class, okay, post. That's what we are actually importing right now. So let's actually register it with our admin interface, admin.site.register. So you can see we have seen it, like where we actually saw it in the settings.py file here, if you remember, right? So in admin.py, we are just calling our admin interface, and we are registering our post model here, okay, right? And now let's actually run it again. Python manage.py run server. Okay, and now you can see like we did not get any sort of warnings. We are totally clean and everything is good to go. So let's actually go to this. Okay.
So,
Yes.
one question is that do we have a inbuilt admin in the Django?
Yes. Yes. What I am showing you right now is the inbuilt admin. Okay. So this is the inbuilt admin. Okay. All right. So how exactly we can access it? So now comes the part of creating an administrator. Okay. So how exactly you can do it? It's quite easy. Okay. So Python manage.py, like I am just letting it run on the different different terminal, and I just created a new terminal from this plus. Okay. And now I'm actually I just wanted to actually didn't want to hinder this process. Like I would love to let it run as long as I'm working on it, as long as I'm developing this application. All right. Let it run. Create super user. So that's how you actually create an administrator, okay, in Python. So let's run it. So leave blank to use Rockstar. Basically, Rockstar is my machine's name. Okay. So it is that is why actually it is giving Rockstar. But you can use admin and email address. Let's say admin@ anything blog.com, and then password is 1234. Don't do it, otherwise it will going to it must contain everything. But I just don't want to type in something that I can't see right now. And because when you actually type in the password in here, you just can't see it, like all the typings will be invisible. Okay, so that's why I'm doing it. 1234. Okay, so now we have created the super user, right? So let's actually access it. Admin 1234. So let's access it. So now you can see, okay, now you can see the users that we just created. This was the user. This was the email address that we saw. First name, last name, and staff status. I will get back to it. What is the staff status here? So first, actually, let's read about it more. Like what exactly the admin is going on. So this is the user. This is the password. Like you can see, like we may have actually entered 1234, but the password it is showing like some sort of gibberish thing. Like we just can't read it. So it is called the hashing of passwords. Passwords, sorry, it's quite tongue twister. Okay, so that is how exactly the Django authentication system works. Okay, even when you are creating the users, your password will going to convert into the hash values, right? And those hash values you just can't even see it. Like even if you have the admin access, you just can't see it, right? You can always give the first name and the last name. The groups, basically the groups work for every permission. Like if we want to give, like for example, we could have multiple user type. Okay, I'm just taking an example for learning management system. So you could have groups for student and faculty, and then the head of the faculty, right? So you may want to give some sort of permissions to the students, then other some sort of specific permissions to the head of the faculty, and some specific permissions to the faculty. So that's how the users come into play. Unfortunately, in 2 days, it won't be possible like to create that scale of a project where I can also introduce groups as well. But I just wanted to give you a brief about it. Okay, so these are the permissions that I was talking about, right? And again, the last login and date join. So we just joined it like on 2 minutes ago, 7:38, right? And the login, like last login when we logged in. Okay, and you can also delete it as well. All right. So that's how your Django administration interface work. And now comes the post part. Okay. So let's actually create a post. You can see this here. Okay. So let's actually create a post, and I'm going to name it first post and first post description. All right. I'm going to name it this. Like I know it is quite lame, but it is the save and add another second post. Second post description. Okay, let's just save to, right? So you can see, like, right? So second post and first post. But when you actually see our website view site, we can't see anything yet. Like we are just seeing that default page. So let's actually change it. Okay, how exactly we can do it? So first, now to change anything, first we have to focus upon this request. This request right now is rendering out this particular, template or this particular information, but we don't want it. Okay. So what we actually want here right now is this. We want to actually generate all of the posts that we just created with the admin interface. All right. So let's do it. So in the blog application, go to the views. Okay. And create a simple view here. I am actually importing another library here from Django.http, another function, HTTP response. Okay, so basically every request we get a response. So quite handy to know about it, like quite easy to understand about it as well, like HTTP response. Okay, so let's actually create our first, request function. Okay, request and not main, so index return HTTP response. Let's say okay, we did it. Okay, right. So let's say, and now since we have this request, now we have to map this request. Like as you can see that every request is being mapped to a URL. This is a URL. This is an URL, right? Okay. So whenever we actually try to access this request, we are actually, let's actually see it here, right? So the more we actually create, you can see like for every request we tend to get a different URL. Like for the fourth we are getting 3, for the fifth we will get 4, right? So that's how the URL is being generated with every request, right? So for this request we want to generate a URL, right? So let's do it. So your first option, which is really bad, don't do it. Your first option is from blog.views import, sorry, from blog, let's just simply import views, right? That is your first option. Okay. And now what I want to do, path, let's say index. Okay. The URL name is index and the request name is views.index. Okay. Let's do it. And let's rerun it. Okay. So first let's actually try to understand this page initially. Okay. What exactly it is saying. So you may have actually seen this page quite a lot on Google as well. Like not Google, like on any website, be it on Quora, be it on Facebook, be it on Instagram. So what exactly it means? So it is telling us like we couldn't found the response or request cycle that you were looking for, right? Either use admin or either use index. Okay, and why exactly in the first place we are seeing this page? We are seeing this page because the debug, you can see here. I told you I debug. I will get back to the debug. You can see here, like the debug is it true here, right? So the moment we actually don't make it false, we actually make it false. Okay, let's say we make it false. Okay. So we will not get anything, right? So how exactly the debug works? We actually get to see where our application is having problem with, right? Okay, okay. Now we are get back to it. Okay, right? So always use debug true in your development environment, not in your productions. What do I mean by the productions here? It means that when your website goes live, all right, that time you have to actually use debug is equals to false. Okay, right? Okay. So let's actually fix this. How exactly we can fix this? We have seen this admin, right? We actually enter the admin. How exactly we enter the admin? Like this. Okay, you saw this. Okay. But the next thing that is the website or the project is asking us to insert is this index. Okay, so let's insert it. Okay, so now instead of getting the default page, now we are getting the HTTP response that we were actually defined in our views.py in the index function. So that's how your HTTP response works. And now please let me know how many of you are having problem with this particular cycle, because if you will not understand this cycle, you will not get anything. Okay. So please let me know in the chat box. Okay. Already. All right. So still it is quite, ugly to be precise right now. So let's actually make some more. So what we can do, instead of simply this, we can actually print it out like in this manner. Okay. So it will going to get into the H1, like the H1 tag. But do you think it is scalable on a longer run? I don't think so. Why? Because you, for firstly, the HTML code that you will going to write will be going to have around like sometimes even 500 lines or sometimes even 600 lines. Okay, so what to do in that case? So that's where our templates come into play. Okay, so let's understand the templates, and after we will going to understand the template. Firstly, we will have to fix this issue as well. Like we are actually defining our URLs in this manner, and how exactly it can create a problem with us. Let's actually discuss it. How exactly it can create a problem. Let's say instead of blog, you are having 25 different applications, and even if it is not 25, let's say 5. Let's say 5. Okay. So for application 1, application 2, application 3, and application 5, view here. Okay, and let's say in each application we are having around like 20 to 30 requests, which is not actually not a new thing. It is quite common. You will going to have around 20 requests, sometimes even times like 15. Okay, so you will going to generate those 15 URLs from each application. So now you can get an idea, like from 5 application you will be dealing with like 75 URLs in a single file, and this will going to become a mess. Okay, so to actually prevent yourself from creating that mess, you can use what you can use. You can generate or you can create each URL in its own application. How exactly you can do it? It's quite easy. Okay, so let's do it. So what I am doing here in the blog application, I am just creating a new file. Okay. urls.py. And now I need to make sure that my project URL, my project's root directory's URL knows that I have created an URL where in my blogs application. So how exactly we can do it? So let's understand it. Okay. So you have to go into the my site again and into the URLs. Okay. So I'm going to remove it and okay. And from URLs we will going to import another method called include. So what it does, it will just going to chop off the, let me actually make it more understandable by writing it first. Okay. That way, include URLs, sorry. What is our application's name? Blog dot URLs, right? Dot URLs is basically the module. Now we must be getting an error for sure. Okay. If you see here, we will be getting an error. It is Python. Okay. So what it is telling us, like blog.urls improperly configured. What exactly it means? It means that we have not created any patterns here, right? So do you remember how exactly, have you seen, like you have seen it, how exactly we are creating the patterns here? Okay. So we have to do the same here, right? So let's do it. So from Django dot, sorry, from Django dot URLs import path, right? And from dot import what? Views. And this dot is nothing but your current directory, because this time urls.py is in the current directory, because urls.py and views.py are in the same directories, right? So that is why I'm saying that from the current directory, basically the dot is referring to the current directory, import the views module. Okay. And from the views module, we will going to say URL patterns, sorry, URL patterns. Okay. That way, this is the way actually. Okay. That is how you need to define it. That is how you actually need to configure it. Like Django requires you to know about it. First, you actually make any sort of application out of it. Okay. So for knowing the architecture is must. If you don't know about the architecture, then yeah, you might actually look up into the documentation a lot, but eventually you will get to know about it if you put your time and your effort, or even make an application. Like unless or until you are creating your own application, you will not get the clear picture of it. Firstly, because maybe right now I'm creating it because I have created like maybe not 15 to 20 Django applications already. So that is how actually I know about it by my habits, right? Where I need to put my URLs, how exactly it should be ready for the production environment, like everything. Okay. So yeah, you need to practice a lot, maybe like for 7 days or 14 days, then you will get a good gist of it for sure. Okay. So now let's actually mention the same thing that we actually did there. So instead of doing this, views dot index, and I'm going to name it as well. This request name, it will be index. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's actually see it again. I hope we will not get any errors. And yes, our servers is still running. Like you can see, I am reloading it here. Like you can see this getting reloaded again and again, and I'm not getting any errors. So it did work, like you can see here. Okay. And you can always see like from the get index HTTP 1.1, what exactly it is. From the get, it is asking from the index URL. So where exactly the request is happening right now. So it is happening on this index address, and this 200 means the status is okay. Like we are getting the response okay. Like there is no issues with with the response and request life cycle right now. Okay, so that is how your URLs you can configure for your each root project, like for each root's URL. Okay, so now comes the template part, and I just told you why exactly this, like where is the views.py, why exactly this could be a problem, right? Like you cannot have a lot of HTML in the same single string. So you need to have a different file that can actually have different that can actually contain entire values for every HTML code logic. Okay, so that's what we will going to do. So just let's actually remove this HTTP response because this is no use for us now, and I'm going to use the render method here. Okay. Return vendor. It takes the request as we saw, and it takes log and index.html. Okay, so let's exactly make it. Okay, so let's exactly make it. So how exactly it works in the first place. So I just show you this file, right? The settings.py file. So how exactly it is working. So in templates, you can see it is looking for app directory. Okay, and in every app directory we just have to how exactly it works. In every app directory we need to define a new directory exactly with this name, no other name, templates. Okay, so that's how actually the Django works. You can always manipulate it, but just for the easy purposes, like you can understand it, I am just telling you the basic part of it, like how exactly you should understand it right now. Okay, and now in the templates where exactly we can actually see it, you can always do it like without this as well. From like you can, let's actually remove it. Okay, and uh, let's exactly we can actually create the index.html in the templates. Okay, let's do it. And what we can see, blog application. Okay, and we're going to see hello from the templates. Right, so let's actually reload it. So where we are actually getting the values from now, like where what we are exactly rendering it around, our template index.html. But this is not a good idea to actually contain, to actually create your every index.html or beat any HTML file in templates directory only, because you could have a register template, you could have a create form template, like there could be the templates which will going to serve different purposes. So it is always a good idea to make some sort of explicitly named template. Like I would love to create the template here, namely as blog. So I will just going to create the blog blog directory, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put this blog into this index.html. I'm just going to put the index.html into the blog directory. Let's remove it. Let's move it. And now what I need to do, as it is quite natural. Now where are we right now? Where we were already in the index.html. Since index.html now resides in blog directory, now we have to mention here blog slash index.html. So the moment we do it, okay. So let's see. Let's actually get it run. Yeah, okay. So now, okay, now we are getting the same results as we did. But what if we don't include the blog here? What will going to happen? Let's see. So it will going to return template does not exist at index. What it means? Let's actually try to understand this first. Okay. So in the moment we actually
Sir,
yes.
uh, actually you are on mute.
Yeah, I just unmuted myself. Yes.
Okay, okay, fine.
Okay. Thank you. So let's actually see it. Template does not exist. What exactly it means? It is quite easy. Like it just couldn't find, our template system couldn't find this index.html file, right? And whenever you actually happen to run into this sort of error, initially you might, so just come to a conclusion that your templates directory is not set up properly. So do it. Okay. So, and what file it is actually searching for? It is for index.html. All right. Correct. Okay. So let's again fix it and log, and the moment we will fix it, yay, we got it right. Okay. So now the next thing comes, which is the query sets. Okay. So does anyone have any questions so far? Because we will going into the query sets, and the query sets will going to render out on those HTML pages that we just generated.
Yes, sir.
Anyone? Yes.
Uh, the theme of application form is inbuilt in it, or you write the code for that?
For what?
Uh, for the theme of application form.
Yeah, you basically it is inbuilt in it. Okay, you have to actually explicitly mention the templates directory with the same name. If the name is not templates, and if it is template, it will going to generate an error. Okay, we can always define a templates in different manner. We can always, but for this tutorial purposes, by default it takes templates directory with the same name. Otherwise it is case sensitive. Okay, you just can't even use the uppercase templates either. So yeah, it is inbuilt in there. But I again explained it to you, like you don't really have to do the blog thing. Like how exactly I am doing, how why exactly am I creating the blog directories for different purposes. Like I would love to actually uh, create my HTML files in a different jargon, in a different directory for at different purposes, like for the registration or maybe for creating the forms. Like I could have different HTML files that could serve different purposes. So that is why I just created this blog. So it could just serve the blog's purpose, and I'm just going to get into the detail how exactly it can solve the blog purpose. Okay, blog's purpose basically. Okay, so let's do it. Any other questions, Josna?
No, sir, you can go ahead.
Okay. So let's do it. Like so, the next thing that we will going to see uh, will be the the query sets. I have been telling you the query sets again and again, again and again. Like what are these? So what are exactly these? So let's understand this. So from blog dot models, we have the blog application, and from that application we have a models module, and from that module we have post class, right? Okay, and from post, now it actually what exactly goes into the Django's mod query set, and basically these are called the managers, right? Manages the data, if you actually have to understand this in a layman's terms. So let's actually, it has few methods, a manager. Let's actually run few, like blogs.objects.all. So what it will going to do, it will going to fetch every post object from the database and will going to return to us. Okay, let's see. So what query set it actually got us, like first post and the second post, right? So that is how you can actually get your post as well, right? And you can also create it, post dot objects, post dot objects dot create. Okay, what we need to do for creating the post? First we need the title. Let's say third post. Okay, and what will be the description? Okay, the description will be third post description. So we have created our third post as well, and the moment you will going to iterate over it, so yeah, we have our third post as well. So other than that, we can also create a post in different manner. Like say you have created P1 is equals to post. Sorry. Okay. Now P1 dot title. Let's say the fourth post, and P1 dot description is sorry, fourth post description. Okay. Right. And now I have to actually run P1 dot save. So what exactly is going on here? And let's exactly again run our, so we have our fourth post as well. So what exactly is going in this create and this dot save? Okay, basically this is just the attribute, you know, assignment. Like we just assign the title and description by instantiating a new post object, right? What exactly
So,
dot save is though? Yes.
so can you repeat post dot object dot all part?
Yeah, sure, why not? So what exactly the post dot objects dot all is doing? Let's actually understand this with the database. Okay, let's see here. We actually generated this first and second post by adding the post, right? If you remember. So by adding the post, what it does in like under the hood, it runs a sequels insert command. All right, sequels insert command. So the moment it actually runs the sequels insert command, the database actually gets filled up. Just actually look at this database. Okay, just actually look at this, and again let's actually create something again. Let's say the fifth post. Just look at this. Okay, you might see something happening here. Fifth, fifth. Okay, okay. It might not happen here, but now we have the fifth post as well. Basically, it inserts the you know, every it actually runs the sequels insert command. That's it. Whenever we actually create or save, all right, for the new database attribute, like we already have the columns there, like for the title and the description. Okay, but not the but not like what not. We have everything. Okay, sorry. So yeah, okay. So that's how actually the post dot objects dot work all work. What it does, like it actually, you know, fetches all the data that we are having in our database. Okay, for that particular object or for that particular table, we have a table here. If you remember, right? We have a table here post. So what sort of data it actually consists of? We have like title and description in the attributes, and those and that table is actually filled with this data, like first post, second post, third post, and fourth post, right? So that's exactly your post dot objects dot all work. You got it, Josna? Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So okay, so let's actually run it. Where to run it? In our requests. Since we want to, you know, we want to actually access all the posts here. So let's do it the same way we did in the our, you know, the models method, like no, in the shell. Okay, by calling the models module and retrieving the all posts there. So let's call the models from dot models import what post, right? And now what I need to do, post here, post dot objects dot all, right? There are a lot of methods. I just don't want to get into this right now because it might overwhelm you initially. Like we will get back to it just in tomorrow's session for sure. But take your time. I will refer you some tutorials for sure. it was just for a beginner's class that you might get some sort of intuition out of it, like how exactly the framework works. Why do we even need the framework in the first place, right? But yeah, you really need to practice. If you otherwise you will not get it. Otherwise you will not get the good understanding of how exactly the framework works. At least for the Django here right now. Okay. So now, since we have these posts here, so how exactly we can actually render these posts in this as index.html? How exactly we can do it? So we do it with something called context. Okay. So what exactly is happening here, right? We actually create a key and pair value. Okay. So you can see post dot objects dot all is nothing but retrieving what it is doing right now. It is giving, that is actually returning, sorry, it is returning all the posts, right? Right. And these posts we can actually access from where? From our template, from our index.html file, right? So our HTML file has to know some sort of context, like where exactly this data is getting generated from, right? So it is generated from this index request. Okay. So after that, this context, we need to pass this context here. Okay. Context is equals to context. Okay. So what exactly the render method does? Like render method takes the request, then it actually looks for the your HTML file, aka template file. Okay. Then it looks for the context. Context basically means what exactly we can fetch into this template. Okay. Getting it? Right? So again to recap, render method takes the request, then it actually looks for the template, and in this case our template resides in blog index.html, and then it actually looks for the context, and it usually doesn't look for the context, but we can pass it through if we have some sort of data to render on to that particular template. And now we want to render this data, this objects, these all objects we want to render on where? Index.html, right? So let's render it. So let's open this index.html. Okay. And how exactly it is going to now distinguish it? Like we actually saw it in here in our python manage.py shell command. We just imported all of our post object, then post.object.all. We were getting the query set. But what it does here, it works on the Jinja template, Jinja syntax. Okay. This is it. Like to actually make something, to if you want to execute something, okay, to execute something like to execute a context, to be precise. Okay, we need to pass two curly braces, and those curly braces needs to be having two white space, 1 2, and after that you have to actually get into the middle and you have to write this. And what it is? Post. We actually passed it here. Post. Right? So, and we are passing this post same. And what exactly this value is? Basically, this value is not this, but the key value of it. Okay, not this value, not dictionary's key, but not dictionary's value, but the key. It actually takes the key. Okay. So the moment we actually do it, so let's actually take a look at our website now. Again, get back to our index. Wow. Okay. We are getting the same response that we actually got from our project post.objects.all, right? Okay. Now, what we need to do? Now we need to just loop through it. Okay. So how exactly we can do it? How exactly we can do it? This is again the Jinja syntax. Okay, taking the two white space and from left and right, from left and then from right, and then I am going to tell like four post and what posts, right? And do not forget to and your for, and if we have a lot with and with, but right now we are just seeing the looping, or right now we are just rendering out our post values here. So what we can do, and for, okay, and after that we can just how exactly we did it. Remember, to actually render a variable post, we did. Let's actually have a look at it. Okay, now we are having first post, second post, third post, fourth post, and fifth post. But still, where is the description? So, can anyone in the chat tell me what exactly this post is? Anyone in the chat? I would love to actually know about what exactly you are having in your mind, guys. What exactly is the post is? How many? Okay. Can anyone tell me what exactly this post is? Interface key, yeah, exactly the key. Anyone? Any more? Variable, yeah, it is a variable for sure. Anyone? Basically it is via block. No, exactly, we know, just got it right. Object of the block, object of the post, to actually make it more correct. This is nothing but your object. Okay, we are iterating over objects, right? So what we can do here, post dot title, right? This is nothing but your object. Okay, so let's actually put it into the h1 tag and do it this, and then put this. Wait a minute. Post dot description. Okay, now actually let's check it out. Wow, we just we just got our every post that we just created there. Okay. Okay, so that's how we actually created the list view. Basically, this is the read view. Okay, and now last but not the least, now we will actually look into the details of it as well. Like if I actually click on it, if I actually happen to click on it, I redirect to a new page where I can see my title and my description only. Okay, so let me actually write it again. Just I was just going to take like 2 seconds. Okay, all right, and in the URLs, let's actually understand this. Okay, so first, again, we need to actually get back to our Python manage.py shell. Okay, let's actually again get back to it. From blog.models, import post. All right. So let's say if I actually see this like in the index.html, let's write the ID as well. Okay. With the title, let's write the ID as well. Okay. Post.id. We did see it. We did see it like ID was the auto-generated field, right? So we will it. So let's rerun it. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, first post is having the ID of 1. Second post is having the ID of 2. Third, fourth, so on, right? So let's access a particular blog post with the help of ID. How exactly we can do it? First, let's take a p1, just a variable name. Then I am saying post dot objects dot get. Okay, dot get, it's on method, like it actually comes along with dot get. Okay, so what we can do is equals to 1. Okay, so we can see the p1 is first post, and p1 dot title will be first post, and p1 dot description will be first post description. Right, getting my point? So this way exactly this way this particular request, initially this request wasn't taking any arguments right now. Okay, so now what we are dealing it, now we are actually dealing with the request that has some sort of arguments. Now this time we have an argument of ID, and after giving it then ID, we are fetching that particular ID's post. Say we actually fetch the ID of post 1, and if we want to actually fetch the post 2, we can also do that for the post ID is equals to 2 by giving the ID equals to 2. So that's how we are actually fetching it. And again, the same way we did with the context. Yes. Okay. So the same way we actually did with the context, I just did not create the new dictionary here. You could have done it like this as well, like context. Here too, context is context, but I actually created like with motions. So now since we have the request, what is the second step we need to do? I would love to know about the chat. I would love to actually know in the chat. Can anyone tell me what is the second step? What will we need to do now? Like after creating this request. Yeah, sure, I will check it. Can anyone tell me how exactly call it? It will load in the same time. Like what exactly I will be doing now? Like after creating this request or this view function, where exactly I need to map it out? I'm giving you a hint. Like where exactly I need to map it out? Anyone can tell me? On an HTML template, of course, for sure. URL file. Yes, is right. URL file. Okay. So yeah, exactly, Nidhi. URL file. So what exactly our request is taking right now? Let's try to understand it. Okay, path. Okay, path, and I will give it a name of detail. Say detail for particular URL. Let's say int ID. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, URL. Yeah, you people are right. Okay. So what exactly is going on here? So Django is again showing its inbuilt habits, behavior. So what it is telling, he is expecting an end, right, in terms of ID. So whenever you're actually going to make a request, we will going to say, let's actually, first actually let's complete it. Views.detail and name is equals to detail. Okay. And instead of actually returning this h1, I would love to have the a tag here. A href. Okay, and this should be here. All right. So I just nested the h1 element with the a element. All right, and let's just see. I might have some issues. What is happening, guys? What is saying? Module blog.views. What it is saying? Post detail. It was actually post detail. Sorry. URLs. Post detail. It was post detail, guys. Okay. It was post detail. Now let's actually rerun it. Yeah. Now we actually got this. Okay. But now, when you actually see, just look at in the left bottom corner. Just look at. You must be seeing an address, like an address, right? Index, but it is not showing the correct. So what exactly we need to show it here? Like we would love to go where detail, then end ID, right? That's where we actually want to go. Okay. So in the index file, what we need to mention here? First, percent sorry, URL. Okay. The post dates we are let's say we gave it. Okay. And let's okay. And firstly, let me show you what exactly it is. Again, it is template. Actually, okay. What it does, it actually takes the URL. Okay, URL names we actually defined here in URLs. Detail. Actually, it should be post detail. Okay, it should be post detail. Okay, we actually defined the post detail here. And after that, what this method is also expecting? If you can see it, like reverse for post detail, no arguments found. Why it is saying no arguments found? Because we haven't given it any ID yet, right? So the moment I give it to post.id, it should be good to go, right? Because that is what we are expecting here, post ID. Okay. So now the moment actually I run it, the problem has been solved. So if you actually see it on the left bottom corner, you can see whenever I hover over a post like post 1, you can see the detail 1, detail 2, detail 3, and detail 4. Let's actually check on one of those. So again, we actually have encountered with this problem again. Template does not exist. Why we are seeing it? Because we have not defined any templates. So let's define a template. Okay. So let's create a template. Not here, but here. Log detail dot html. Okay, and again I am doing it, and I'm giving it a detail log, and let's just run our this the value that we fetched. Second post, right? We are getting the second post. Now we can get the first post, right? So now you can see like our website has started to work like a normal website, like the Quora or the Medium actually does for the blogging websites, right? So that's exactly, we can also pass the the arguments to a request as well. Okay, and again you can since this is an instantiation of an object, what you can do here, sorry, h1 post what dot title, okay, and b post dot what description. So the moment we do it, we are still getting the same result, and but this time we are getting the first post and first post description. Since we did everything from the backend and from the terminal, next time we will be doing with the help of the forms. Okay, so this was it guys for the first session. I know it could be overwhelming at first, like getting all this information at first could overwhelm you, but you really need to have a good grasp for it. Like I will going to mention like what exactly do you need to do it, and like you can always refer to this Django's inbuilt tutorial that actually have it. Start from here. Documentation, I wouldn't actually recommend you to go through the documentation, but you can always go through this, get started with Django and write your first Django app. This will actually give you a good idea about it, right? Okay, so how exactly the model works in much more detail, because in 2 hours or maybe in 2.5 hours, I may actually say everything, but it is not quite true that you will get everything. At any specific time, you may be getting that particular context or that particular topic, but as this session ends, as we will go to our respective works, you will tend to forget it. So, right? So have a habit of looking into the documentation a lot. Okay. And this tutorial I actually recommend to you all. Like whoever actually seeing this session right now, please have take a look at this tutorial. It will give you a good grasp over Django, what exactly it is. Okay. Am I mentioned?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
One question, sir. Can we use get instead of post?
Can we use get instead of what?
Post.
Where am I using post? Oh, I didn't get your question, Joseph. What exactly do you want to ask?
Actually, Anand says, so can we use get instead of post?
Anam, please tell me where exactly. Okay, now let me take questions. Let me take questions. Let the question begins. Okay. Okay. So now let me know what exactly you want to ask, guys. Let me know.
So Ajit has a question.
Yes.
We will map post ID for each post.
We will map each ID for each post.
Yes.
Yes, of course. Basically, the ID gets generated by the post itself. Whenever we actually instantiate a post, it will going to generate itself. So we know href request.schema request.get host. Request.scheme, yes, you can. And URL app dot, yeah, apply for task. Yeah, absolutely. Basically, it was the Venu that actually just what it mentioned. It is actually comes along the best practices, like you are namespacing the URLs. But since we have the time constraints, like I don't think so. It will be possible to cover up everything. But yes, request is always there in the every HTML template. You can always access it for sure. And okay, Arjit, I will look into it for sure. For sure, I will look into it. Okay. And please, guys, if someone wants to actually, connect with me, they can connect me with over in LinkedIn. If they have any sort of, reach out to me, so they can connect me on the LinkedIn. So I am dropping my LinkedIn here. So you guys can connect me over there. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? Anyone?
Yes, Mohan has a question. How
Yes.
to create a new app in my side project?
Okay, Mohan, you could just literally write my Python manage.py start app and the application's name. Okay. All right.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Guys, if you have any question, just put it down, or we should end for the day today. Okay.
Please provide the links. Oh, sure. That we can follow. Yeah, Darika, sure. Just follow this. Sir, I can create my app using Python. Not only Python, Gutta. I don't think so. Like you will be needing a framework. Like I don't understand what sort of application you are talking about. Like is it a desktop application or what? I have shared my LinkedIn profile with you guys. Okay. Can we use Jupyter? No, you cannot use Jupyter. For desktop you can use Tkinter or PyGUI. So please share on everyone. Sure. Any questions again, guys? Any questions? So can you share the You for the exam details, please reach out to the Let's Upgrade moderators. They will can actually make you much more, informed about it. You might not have shared with everyone. Actually, I have
Yes,
shared with.
sir. Guys, for the exam details and all that part, you can visit our website, or the exam details and the eligibility list will also be mailed to you one day prior to exam. All the details and the exam timings will be mailed to you.
Okay. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. Okay. Uh,
Okay.
any
Uh,
questions? Josna, is there anything that I need to do before leaving?
no, sir, I don't think it's. Let's
Please
end for the day today.
I believe like there is the trainers attendance fulfillment something, right?
Yes, sir, you have to fill the trainer's attendance form. That will be messaged to you by the Kirtana ma'am,
Okay, sure. Okay.
or you can see it on the your side.
I can't see if that is why. Okay.
And that part we talk it later on. Okay, guys. For the exam details, you will be mailed, and there is no recorded video for the session. For that, join. Yes, tomorrow we will class on the same timing at 6:30. Please join. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, guys, for participating with us. Let's end for the day today. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.